take you on a journey through another movie torture. Ha 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 ha. Let's join Hannah as she participates in her training exercises and can't quite throw that knife. Jacob's busy playing the victim to hustle the hustler. We're all still trying to figure out, is Gary a butler or the mastermind behind this whole thing? Let's now join in to the hustle. Hello,
Hey,
guys.
okay, so is that going off of the poster that was put together?
Uh, it was a new thing I started doing to where I just find like tidbits of the movie and I add everybody into it, and throw it into
Okay.
the
I
mix.
wasn't sure if you were
Oh,
basing it off of the faces that Brad puts into the
I like
poster that he
that.
does
Oh,
of the
I did not, but
movies.
that would have been a good idea. I did not think
Oh,
of that.
I
I did
like
not think
that.
of that. Oh, we got it.
I like that.
Um, well, we have a first here on movie torture. No Brad.
No, Brad. This is a
The
little wild.
the first
Is this?
episode Brad has ever missed.
Huh.
It was for a good
I guess
reason
it
though.
is.
He's not dead or anything.
He's not dead. Brad is
He's
fine.
just with his family,
He's just with his family.
but he will be missed dearly.
Yeah.
He will be. Um, but yes, he is doing well. He is fine. We do not have to be concerned for
And we don't have
Brad.
Roger either. And I
No
don't think.
Roger.
Wait,
Yeah.
oh, wait. Is MTD in the chat?
He
MTD is
is.
in our chat,
Oh,
and he said, "I miss my boy. We miss him
oh.
too.
Yeah.
We miss him too. But
Yeah.
you know, he'll be in here with our thoughts. He may be in
He's
the live stream.
thoughts and prayers, Brad. Thoughts and prayers.
That's right. That we just don't tank this movie torture podcast in one single night.
Y'all don't know
Well, it
this. He's
couldn't be
actually
worse.
not coming back. We've hijacked the podcast.
That's right. We now run this. Brad has been
Yeah.
hustled.
We wanted to give Gary a voice,
That's right.
and this is the only way we can do it.
That's right.
If Brad wasn't here, so I get my 2 cents in. Oh, thank you. Thank you for this
so to
opportunity, Brad. I
hey,
appreciate it.
we're going to take advantage of it. So we watched, hopefully not watching, we watched The Hustle. Hannah, do you want to tell us about this masterpiece of a movie? Give us a synopsis of what we're about to get into.
Okay, so coming up with this on the fly, but basically, there's a very unexpected partnership when Rebel Wilson and Anne Hathaway are both trying to scam people. They end up on each other's turf. It's an all-out girl war. It's kind of funny. They end up having a little competition to see who can fully win the home turf. Whoever loses the competition has to leave. And there was a twist ending. I don't know if I should give it away. Should I give it away?
Go for just rip it right
Okay.
off like a
So-
band-aid.
So Rebel Wilson ends up falling in love with the boy that they are trying to hustle. In the end, though, dun dun dun, the boy was actually hustling both of them. Ended up getting $1 million from them, flew off into the sunset, but then he came back and he wanted to join forces with all three of them, hustling away, making that money, getting that bag. And yeah, that's the movie.
I will say throughout this movie, go ahead, Gary.
Oh, I was just gonna ask Hannah, did you? I feel like I know Jacob noticed, and I noticed about halfway through this movie. Did you know that this is technically a remake? It's not a remake.
So-
It's its own thing, but it's like the whole story is based on another movie that was made with Steve Martin and who else was that? Who was the other one? But
I
yeah.
didn't know just from watching the movie that it was a remake, but upon doing my research, I found out that it was a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels,
Mhm.
which itself is also a remake of Bedtime Story, back all the way from 1964. That's just what
I
the
did
Google
not-
says.
okay.
I can neither confirm nor deny because I've not seen any of those movies.
I
So
didn't know that.
basically-
I'd seen.
Basically,
Oh,
they're
good.
just not going to let this movie die. So we should expect another remake here in about a year or so because it's about that time.
Well, the remakes they're coming faster and faster. It used to be like they would give it a good 20 to 25 years. Now it's like,
That's
oh,
true.
2 years later, we need another one.
Mm,
That is true.
that's true. Yeah.
That's what's happening with Batman. There's another Batman coming out.
There is.
I don't know. We don't need another one. We didn't need the last two,
Is it the same
but
guy?
it's someone different. I don't even know who it is. I was just so mad when I heard that.
It is really hard. It is really hard to find any original movies anymore. Most everything coming out right now is just remakes of remakes.
And they're not even good ones most of the time. Some of
No.
them are. But
Some.
some of them are, but a lot of them they're remaking it and they're changing the gender roles to try to be
Yes.
politically correct, or they're adding in other things to try to be politically relevant, and it just ends up ruining it. And I don't feel like we can have true art anymore
No.
because there's no room for creativity. You got to worry about offending everybody.
Right.
I agree, MTD. We could make better movies. We could
make
partner
good
up
movies.
with ChatGPT and come up with something way more creative than just about any of the movies that have come out in the past decade.
Yeah, yeah. This remake, I mean, it was something. It was something different. I don't know about
Producer
you
Gary,
guys.
did you take notes on this movie? I'm just curious.
I
Oh,
don't have any written notes. No.
It's all up there.
I didn't say that.
So it's not all there.
Somewhere.
he's like, I
That's what you're
forgot.
saying?
I'm done.
I mean, I think I may have taken a nap during this movie. Almost.
Gary.
Maybe. What? Again, it's an all-girl remake of something I've already seen. That's
Oh, so you have
worse
seen the
than
other one.
original
Okay.
ones. The Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. Yeah, I've seen.
Okay.
That's why when I was watching this, I was like, this whole premise looks familiar, and I had to figure out what I had watched that was this movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So MTD just brought up the budget. What was the budget and everything
$21
for this movie?
million for this
That's
movie.
wild. How much did they bring in? Was this? I'm assuming this was released in theaters, not just
Yes.
on one of the streaming things.
So, gross worldwide, it looks like it brought in $97 million.
Hey, that's pretty
insane.
impressive.
I feel they should have just. I mean, the movie to me is rightly titled "The Hustle." The fact that it brought in $97 million, they hustled some people to come in and see this movie.
I'm getting a sense that that you probably didn't like it. What do you not like about this movie?
I think right off the start for me, it was like, I'm not a huge Rebel Wilson fan. I don't like her acting. I don't like her comedy style. Like most of her comedy style and everything she does is just kind of push the vulgar limit as far as we can.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't do it for me. I'm like, no.
I agree with that. And normally I feel like every part that she plays is the same thing over and over again.
Yes.
But I didn't feel that way as much in this movie. I was actually kind of shocked.
Okay.
I feel like she had some parts where she was actually acting. Like the one part where Anne Hathaway is just straight blowing into her eyeball.
Okay, yeah, we're going to get to that whole shenanigans. That was just something. So it starts off with Rebel Wilson trying to hustle guys at bars to get her fake sister, or this picture that she needs. We'll just say she needs some money for a surgery. And these men are very eager to provide said money. And she ends up getting caught on to what she's doing and going off to Europe after that. Or she picks up a magazine off the road and is like, I must go to this. I don't think it's Europe, but this foreign country that she's got to go to.
I mean, it's a pretty good hustle if you think about it, because, I mean, it was working, number one. But number two, once you get found out at the bar, there's plenty of other bars you can go to.
But how much are you going to have to? You're only getting $500 a pop. I mean, that's a lot of work every night to make a substantial living.
Are you saying you wouldn't want to make $500 every night?
I'm not saying that. I wouldn't want to do it that way.
Well, no, but that's $15,000 a month.
That's true.
There are ways to make $500. Yeah.
there's worse ways. There's also less money you could be making elsewhere.
But
Yeah.
they don't really get into like how long has she been running this hustle, because she seemed to get caught pretty quickly. Like the police were after her. For all we know, that was like the second time she was running this hustle was already busted.
I mean, still $1,000 off one. Most. Well, I don't know. Yeah,
Hannah's
I don't
about
know
to
how much
get
money
into
most
the
people make out there.
expertise of hustling.
but no. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not a hustler. Well, I mean, I am, but not that kind of hustler. But it's more like an everyday I'm hustling type hustle, not.
Okay.
But I mean, even if it's just $2,000 from that one bar, even if that's all she made for the whole week, that's not horrible for 1 week.
I mean, it's not bad money. I'm just
So
saying.
what's one thing you just would, okay, not like a dirty job, but like, what's one job you just would not do no matter how much they pay you? Either because it just grosses you out or it terrifies you.
I mean, for me, that job's hard to find because I mean, I used to do pest control, so I'd be in like roach infested houses with them like crawling all
Ooh.
over the walls and floors, and so like
Is that the worst you saw? Is like roaches on walls?
Oh yeah, there was a particular house to where the wall was brown and you would tap on it and it would go white because the roaches would scatter. And then I accidentally bumped their stove, and like 1,000 started pouring out of their stove.
Ew.
Like, yeah,
Were they the big ones or the little ones?
German, so they were little.
There's different actual types with names.
Yes, there's all several types of.
They were German, so they were
all types
I know there's big ones and there's little
roaches.
ones.
MTD said cleaning ports Johns.
Cleaning porta johns. That does not seem like a fun job.
Yeah, it's gotta be rough.
But I feel like they probably have a system that's not necessarily manually cleaning it out.
I mean, you do got to put the hose in it and then take it out.
Oh, you know how it's done? I don't know how it's done.
Honestly, I didn't know that either.
What about you, Gary? What's one job you
Like
just would not do?
A job I wouldn't do? I don't think I could be like a surgeon or anything to do with too much blood,
Really?
like real guts and stuff. I can't do that. Like real
No blood.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I can handle.
I'm cool with blood. And like bugs aren't my favorite, and that's definitely disgusting. But I also wouldn't be like, no, absolutely not. For me, anything that's like mucusy or fecal matter, that's a
Oh yeah.
that's a no for me. Water tower painter.
Yeah,
I feel like that's gonna be. Wait, how do they do that? Do they just attach a thing at the top and then hang over the side and paint it?
I'm with.
Or like a window cleaner. For
I was just gonna say that, Gary.
What it means?
A window. Well, they do paint water towers, and you kind of hang off them and paint it. But I'm thinking like where Gary's going with the window cleaners, and they're like 180 stories up, sitting on the little platform. I couldn't do that. You couldn't pay me enough money to be up there to
terrifying.
do that.
See, if it sways any little bit, I'm out. I'm not scared of heights, but if it's a swaying anything, swinging bridge, swaying platform, no.
So
all I can picture is me plummeting to my death.
Were to do that or start a hustling gig. I guess I'm going into the hustling.
Oh, I'm hustling 100%, and I'd be good at it if I really wanted to be.
So I was gonna say, I don't think I'd be a good hustler. I'm not.
No, you wouldn't, Gary.
You'd be like 3 minutes in and then feel real bad about. You're like, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I'm just teasing you. Here, take your money back. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I would forget my name. I would forget the fake name that I'd come up with.
Yep. You'd be like, wait, what are we doing? Like, the one in Gaffney. MTD said he met the guy who put the wrap on the Peach water tower. What an iconic thing to be able to say that you were a part of that. Because everyone knows the Peach in Gaffney.
Yeah.
I do not, but I will take his word for it.
I'd say, yeah.
Well, basically, when you're driving down the highway, you see a giant butt, but it's a peach.
Okay.
So whenever there's a little kid and they look at it, I go on school field trips. So if we ever drive by there, I'm going to just bus full of kids, and they're all pointing and laughing, and it's they love it. It's hilarious.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So back to this great movie, this enjoyable movie. So now she's on the airplane, which was just a whole like, what is going on in this airplane?
I'm trying to remember which airplane scene was that, because she had more than one, didn't she?
This is the first one where she's going over to the new country.
What happened
And
on the plane? I think I have a
she-
different scene in my mind.
She's reading like a magazine, and then in the middle of the magazine is a paper that says "Meet me in the bathroom."
Oh yeah.
I
Oh.
can't remember what for.
But that was- Wasn't that a little bit later after she already?
that's on her way there. She's already starting off with a just.
Well, because the guy who put that there saw her with Anne Hathaway in the airport.
Oh, you are correct. Yes, you are correct.
I
So it
thought.
was on her way back. Yeah.
So at this point, she's already met Anne Hathaway, and Anne Hathaway is
She did.
she first of all, she has an interesting accent.
Well, several.
Well, yes, several.
She never sticks to
First
one.
one though, I was like, okay, uptight. I don't know how I feel about this uptight English accent that you have.
Yeah, because they
Oh,
meet
yeah.
because they're sitting there. She's like talking about her next like mark that she's after with, which I wasn't fully following. Like, is she? Wait, so they met actually? She met Anne Hathaway on the train.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's like
Mm.
real. She was watching her pull her hustle
Yes.
some guy
Which
to
was
buy him-
basically just for a free meal.
for
and
a free
some
meal. For yeah,
Right.
she was hungry. She had to eat.
cat.
Yeah.
I do love though in that part. I do love where he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll buy you a meal," and she pulls the classic. I'm just gonna order everything I can off this menu.
2 pieces of
Right.
cake. Actually, make it 3.
Make it 3.
Have y'all
do
done that to people when they offer to pay and you just go all out and you're like, I'm gonna get the most expensive thing because they're paying?
I mean, I don't
No.
go on my way to do that, but I'm not gonna also go cheap. Like if you're offering to pay for
Really?
a meal, I'm
See,
going
I
to
feel
buy what I
so
normally
bad,
get.
and I'm literally like, okay, I'm gonna get the kids meal, or I'm gonna get away with 2 sides and a small drink. Like, I feel so bad when people pay for my meal.
But I put it
No,
this way,
if we're
like,
going,
oh, go ahead, Gary.
well, I was gonna say if we're going to eat, I'm gonna get what I would have gotten if I was paying. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna change my order necessarily to make it cheaper necessarily. But I mean,
Yeah.
you don't go crazy. It's like, oh yeah, I'll have the lobster. I'll have 3. I'll have
I
3
mean-
orders of that, and yeah.
Here
But
we
if
are at
Brad-
McDonald's. Give me your finest lobster, sir.
If Brad's taking me out, I'm going like, I want the lobster. What
The-
other
the
expensive thing do you
steak.
have on this mile, right?
I don't know, oysters or something. Are those
Yeah.
expensive?
And just bring me the whole cake.
Yeah.
Just give me the whole cake. So they get here and they watch Anne Hathaway, who is just like clowning around this town doing this like hovering jet ski, jet flying in the water. having the
Rebel
time of her-
Wilson.
Yes, Rebel Wilson,
Mhm.
having the time of her life. And the thing I don't understand is then Anne Hathaway's character feels threatened by her all of a sudden because of this. She's like, oh, this
Well,
girl knows-
because the only reason she felt that is because Rebel Wilson scammed the guy first that Hathaway was trying to scam.
it's true.
Like, she was waiting at the restaurant for this dude to pull up in his nice car, and then he pulls up with Rebel Wilson in it.
But she's
So of
making
course she was going to feel threatened.
she's making millions, and she watches Rebel Wilson hustle for a dinner, and she's like, "This is threat. This is competition."
Well, she got a lot of money out of that guy in the car.
Yeah.
And the whole jet ski thing. What I love about this is that Rebel Wilson is only scam. It seems like she's just scamming to just live her best life. Like, get the meal, do the jet ski things.
Yeah,
And Anne Hathaway is actually like raking in millions and has a beautiful, I don't know, estate or something.
she's looking to make her retirement. She's investing. She's a long-term
Yeah.
investor.
Mhm.
But then she tries to get rid of Rebel Wilson, which does not go well. So she does the
No.
next best thing. She's like takes on an apprentice
but kind
train
of
her.
only in a fake way, because
She
she only
does.
did it for the purpose of not paying Rebel Wilson for the heist that they pulled off, and she knew that would make her mad and was hoping she would just leave. It's
And
kind
then
of
when
dirty.
it is, I feel like then we go on this 20-minute training montage of watching Rebel Wilson struggle through this training exercises.
Which is hilarious. Her trying to jump over that table thing, that would have been me. I would have hit it and just slid to the ground.
Like the one time she actually jumps over and like scorpions herself as she's like going over the other side of it.
I can see Gary in there trying to throw knives and just not getting it, and then just walking up and stabbing the wall.
she loses and just starts like going to town, just stabbing the like it just. So they do this whole training montage, and then to your point, now they got to work together. So they come up with this elaborate ruse to start tricking these men to get engaged to Anne Hathaway, and then convincing them that her sister has to come with her. And they basically just make Rebel Wilson hideous the whole time for like 30 minutes of this movie.
But she does the craziest thing. Like my favorite one, I don't even know if I want to say, but the things she did they were hilarious.
They were crazy. They were absolutely crazy. She's got her locked up in a dungeon somewhere.
Yes, basically had her locked up in a dungeon. She was pretending to be from medieval times.
Yep.
And had like a
jacked up
chastity
teeth. Oh yes,
the bell.
The chastity belt.
She's ruining their dinners. So Anne Hathaway's slowly collecting all these engagement rings, because by the time these poor men get a full picture of the sister, they're like, "Nah, I'm out," and keep the ring. Don't even worry about it. Just leave me alone.
Okay, but here's the thing: are you letting them keep the ring? I am getting that ring back.
I would.
Like that is not no small ring.
I think it's crazy to let them keep them. Yeah, they were massive. Granted, a lot of these men were probably so rich it was probably just petty cash to them. But
sure,
me being a broke person, I'm getting the ring back, and I'm also selling it. Like, it's also crazy to me when people get engaged and then they break it off and they take the ring back and then keep it, and years later still have it. I'm like, why? You can't reuse a ring. That's
you. I mean, you could.
Yeah, you look like you disagree, but
well, I mean, who other than you would know that you reused it? I mean, I understand.
You bought that with the specific woman in mind, and then you give it to a whole other woman. That's wrong. And so, Gary, never do that. I hope you never have to go through a broken off engagement. But if you do not reuse that ring. You take it and you sell it and you buy something different.
I mean, you're gonna have a lot of explaining to do if
she finds out.
Find out.
Yeah.
But how would
I would be so upset if I was re-gifted my engagement ring. I'd be like, actually, you keep the ring, and I will see you later, sir.
I was gonna say, do you call it off right at that point? It's game over.
Oh, I mean,
or can you work to forgive?
Jesus would have to work on me on that one. That's tough.
But even if
I don't think I would even date. I don't think I would date the type of guy who would do that.
I like this.
To be fair, even if it was a big diamond, I don't care. I don't care how much that ring costs. If you bought it, buy me a ring pop, but know that you only bought it for me, not for someone else. That is pretty unforgivable.
So if you forgive him, and then
if I forgive him, he still has to sell it. I'm like, I will forgive you for this, but you will make it right. You will fix this, and you will buy me the ring that I want. And now I'm going to up it a carat size just because you did that.
MTD said 3 carats. You're still not keeping it. No, you're making him go buy a 4-carat ring now.
Yeah, we upping the stakes. No, just kidding. I wouldn't do that, but I would make him get something different. I'm not wearing a ring that was meant for someone else.
What's a good number of carats? What's a good number of carats?
All the carats. No.
A half carat.
I just thought Hannah might know that. I don't know.
I don't actually know. Let's see. I want to see what I feel like. This might
One
be
is
totally
pretty
wrong.
good.
I feel
I
like
agree with MTD on that one.
One Carrot is like it's not awful. I don't know if you can see this. You can't
No.
see that
No.
picture.
Don't they say something to like
but-
it's
Oh yeah, that works.
that
fine.
like a
like-
certain amount of your salary? It should like be the ring or something like that degree.
You see that ring?
Uh huh.
Those are both
Kind
1
of
carat
I can
rings.
see it. Okay, so that's a decent size.
So it like 1 carat is not horrible. But I think it also some ladies really care a lot about the carat size of their diamond, and I don't think I really do. As long as I like the actual ring, I'm not going to be like, oh, it's only a 1 carat. I'm just be happy I'm getting married at this point because it's taken a while.
See, you just present them with a nice Walmart ring, and you say it's the meaning behind the ring that is important, not the
the
fake
heart.
diamond that's on
It's the heart that counts.
Wait,
it.
See, MTD probably knows more about this than I do.
He is. He's got
He's
one
saying
carat's
quality.
pretty
I
good.
know, like cut, quality, clarity. I know
All
those are
that
3
stuff.
things that you look for, but I don't know what. Like, I don't know anything about the clarity of a diamond. I don't know what that looks like. I know it's something about little, like maybe black specks in there. I don't know.
And the better it is,
Okay.
the more you're gonna have to hustle to pay for that thing.
so
Yeah.
a carat is a unit of weight. It's
Yes.
a gemstone's weight. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
See, we're educating you. We're getting you ready. You're gonna have the
Get me.
knowledge when the time comes.
That's right. So
We're-
then we
well,
have
we got a lot more before we get that. Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
You and me both. It's okay. We'll get there one day.
we'll revisit this conversation when that day comes about the lesson that MTD gave us on the proper carat size of our ring. So they hustle with like 4 or 5 guys. They just keep loading rings into the safe. Like, how many guys are in this island looking for a new bride?
I mean, rich dudes tend to just be lonely,
That's true.
and they'll just ditch their money out for dish it. Bleh. Dish. They will dish their money out just to have a pretty lady on their arm, and it's really sad.
That's true.
But
One
they
thing-
be doing that quite often.
And one thing we didn't cover, for some reason, Anne Hathaway's in cahoots like with like the main police officer on this island or this resort place or wherever they're at.
Yeah, so I wasn't in the beginning. I thought that lady was just acting as a police officer. It took me a
Yes.
while to figure out she was actually an
She's
officer.
actually a police officer. And then you have the butler, but not really a butler, who's also part of her master plan,
Yeah,
Mm.
but really dislikes Rebel Wilson and just tortures
A
her
lot.
like through the
it's
whole movie.
hilarious.
It is hilarious. So they end up selling all these rings. She starts cutting out money to the police officer, to the butler, gives Rebel Wilson nothing, and tells her, "You don't get anything as the apprentice, basically. You're still
Yep,
learning."
you don't get anything till you graduate. And Rebel Wilson's like, well, when does that happen? Because you wouldn't have this money if it wasn't for me. So she said, you know what? I'm out. And Anne Hathaway thinks her
Boom.
problem is gone.
Thinks it's all over, but it's not. But it's not.
So Anne Hathaway goes to hustle another person in a hotel, and she's like, at this point, she's taught Rebel Wilson all of her tricks.
Yep.
She's going to hustle a man in a hotel, but Rebel Wilson cuts in and totally steals the show because she's going in pretending to have, what was the issue? I don't even remember what issue
I
she
don't
had,
remember.
but she was basically paving the way for a man to step in and be a hero, which is exactly what Anne Hathaway taught her to do.
Yes.
And then they end up catfighting, as women do sometimes.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. What she
Was
does
this
is
part where
she is this like Rebel Wilson pretends to have basically like a heart attack and just falls
Heart
flat on
attack.
her back on the floor. And then Anne Hathaway comes up and she's like, "Oh, she's fine." Just
Fix her.
starts kicking her.
It's so rude.
And then
That's
was
just
like,
rude.
"All right, get up." She's fine.
And Anne Hathaway had a really ridiculous accent in that scene. That was funny. Was she
did.
Australian?
I don't know what time, because she changed that accent like so
Yeah,
many
she
times.
did a lot. I thought in that scene she was Australian, but I don't. There were a lot, and that one really stuck out to me.
I think she was, or was she acting Australian when she was like the doctor?
I couldn't tell what that was.
What
It
that
wasn't
accent was.
Australian. It may have been Polish.
Okay.
Oh,
It might have been.
I don't know what that one.
It was strange. I'm pretty sure it was a Polish accent though.
I was gonna say one of them sounded kind of like German-ish. It might maybe the one I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of
it was
the Polish
probably
one.
Polish. There's an audiobook I would listen to and the author is Polish and she survived the Nazis and all that. And she sounds just like her. It's that same accent.
Okay.
That was
But after this point, Anne and Rebel are like, well, we gotta figure out she's like, there's not room for the both of us,
And
basically.
we got to figure out who's the top dog.
Yeah.
And they go after this nerdy tech kid who
But she
built
was
this app.
so sweet in the beginning. I know it changes, but in the beginning I was like, no, not the baby.
So they make a deal. They make a bet. Who can get the most money out of this guy wins, and the other has to leave. They're out. So whoever gets the most money from this guy, and Rebel Wilson comes in hot and plays a blind person. Which I'm thinking to myself, how long can you keep this gig up of playing the blind person?
But that was an important detail because the reason she chose blindness was because this tech billionaire, his grandmother was blind. So Rebel Wilson had done research.
That's right, because she
Which
doesn't
was also
lean over
something that Anne Hathaway taught her was to research your target.
Because she leaned over to Anne Hathaway and is like, research.
yeah.
And she made the way for that boy to be her hero. She's like, oh, that was my last chance they're at a gambling table.
That's right.
Like, that was my last chance to win money for this surgery to fix my blindness.
So now this kid is invested. He's like, I must fix this blind girl and get her help. And he's asking her, what's the doctor that you've been seeing? She gives up some like erroneous fake name. Yet not only does he find the name of the doctor, it so happens this doctor is in the lobby of the hotel they're staying in. So
he goes to find this doctor. He's pumped. He's like, yes, we're going to fix this blind girl. And he thinks the doctor is a man. Lo and behold, it was not a man. It was Anne Hathaway because her policewoman friend overheard their conversation and came back and told Anne Hathaway the name.
Yep.
So she could pretend to be this amazing blind doctor. Not a blind doctor, but like a doctor for blind people.
The kid's like, Google, teach me German.
Yes. Yes, MT said he's got to watch this movie. Mission accomplished. So then at this point, they're going in hot. And Rebel Wilson's like, she thinks she's going to get the money from him to pay for the surgery. Anne Hathaway thinks she's going to get the money because he's just going to directly pay the doctor to do this, to fix Rebel Wilson's blindness.
Right.
But one of the best parts of this movie, I think, is when Anne Hathaway decides to test to see if Rebel Wilson is actually blind.
Worthy of her time as a doctor. Yes.
Yeah. Because what type of blindness did she have?
I can't remember what she said, but it wasn't like she did it so it was like a curable blindness. It wasn't like
it was more like you had to change your belief about you. I think you had to kind of change the pathways in your brain and force yourself to believe that you could see, and then that could fix it.
So
it's
now
like psychological blindness or something.
Yeah, something like that. Now Anne Hathaway goes off the hinge to try to get her to break her character of blindness.
What was your favorite test that she did?
I have to say, okay, my favorite test, just because I have this question for the both of you, is how far would you take this? When she grabs the French fry, starts dunking it in the toilet, wiping it all over the bowl, and she's like, here's your treat. Are you breaking at that point? Are you going to be like, no.
I'm about to gag thinking about that. There's no way I could put that French fry in. That's not a French fry anymore. It's a soggy potato covered in poo water. I'm not putting it in my mouth.
I couldn't do that.
And Rebel Wilson eats it, and then it's like, it's so yummy. Can I have another? I was like, girl, you go off. That's crazy.
Can we just point out she stared the whole time she was pretending to be blind too. That was pretty impressive. Like she
I'm
didn't blink
like-
the whole time.
I
was wondering how
feel
she
like
didn't
she
do
had
that.
some great acting moments. Not that staring in one place is, super amazing, but like especially this is one of the tests that Anne Hathaway does when she's blowing in her eye,
Right.
just straight
Yeah.
up right there, and she keeps her eyes open, and she's like, that was impressive to me. I couldn't do that.
That was pretty good.
Not only just the blowing on the eyes, but just that hot breath, just in this constant state of just hitting you in your face and your eyes.
And then she said she smelled salmon. I was like, oh no. No.
She's like, if your eyes work, this will start to hurt and hopefully bring back. It's like, I smell salmon.
If you could have added a test to see like if someone was really blind, what type of test would you do?
That's a great question.
Because she had the cane and she like whips it into her face super close, and Rebel doesn't flinch.
She tells her to run down the hallway, but then shuts the door before she gets to the hallway. She just flats out,
smacks right into the door.
knocks herself out
commitment.
cold.
Commitment is next level.
She was not giving up this blindness.
No, she's more disciplined than I could ever be in my life. I got to give props to her for that.
Yeah.
Much as I may not like Rebel Wilson, she was getting it in this movie.
I'm trying to think of what else you could do to test. I mean, that toilet one is like huge. Like the fact you
Yeah.
don't break eating a.
I think what would get me, those boxes where there's an animal inside, but you can't see it, and you're just supposed to stick your hand in.
Yeah.
If they brought that box up and they're like, give me your hand, and they were just putting my hand in there, I think my hand would stop. I wouldn't be able to. Those things terrify me so bad.
That's what you Home Alone it. You grab a big old tarantula and you start walking slowly close to your face, right when you're about to put it on the front of your face.
I would be out. I don't do hairy spiders. That's disgusting. There should not be hair on spiders.
So what you're saying is you're breaking character right at that point. You're like,
Yes.
I can see I'm healed.
There's no toilet food and no spiders. That's or snakes. Touching snakes.
So basically, there's a lot of ways we get handed a break out of the blind character.
Yes, I'm telling you, I'm not that dedicated. I could care less about $500,000 at that point. I don't care. So then, go ahead.
So she remains. She sticks to character. She makes it, but now she's starting to fall in love with the guy and feels bad because
he's so sweet, and you think he's falling in love with her.
Yes. And he goes on to bring about, it's like, oh, I only have $400,000 left, and my Nana's going to give me the other $100,000. I'm like,
so he was going to go broke paying for her blindness, but he was like, it's worth it. Like, my Nana said, the only thing money is good for is to do good for other people. I was like, don't do it.
So now she can't go through with this. So now she's like, we can't do this no more. I can't take his money. So then they immediately switch into this. All right, we'll see who he falls in love with first, because now you love him, so I bet I can take him away from you, and just go on a whole new twist.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway was brutal. She was so mean to both of them. Definitely the villain in this movie. But it was funny to me to watch her try to seduce what was his name? Thomas?
I think so.
Young Thomas.
Yeah.
No? Gary?
Thomas.
Yes.
Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas Wester or something. Yeah.
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 I mean, Anne Hathaway tries her best to seduce him, and it's just not working. But then you think that she did, because it was a scene where they were in his hotel room, and next thing you know, he tells her not to leave. He tells her to come back, and then he turns off the lights. So you're like, what happened? And then the next morning, when Rebel investigates, the butler in the hotel tells her that Anne Hathaway never left the room. So she's heartbroken. She was like,
heartbroken.
Dang it. So she goes back to her hotel. She's packing up her stuff. And then who magically appears? Tomas. He pops in and she was like, what are you doing here? And so come to find out, all he did was show her, he showed Anne Hathaway, what was it?
A PowerPoint presentation for his new app to get her to invest in this new app.
And then he told her that he was a germaphobe and asked her to take a shower. And when
Yep.
she got back out of the shower, he was gone with all of her stuff.
Well, that whole time she's trying to seduce him, like she's trying to be extra sexy and wearing all this stuff, and
Mhm.
nothing's working. So then she tries to go the nerd route, and she's like, "Oh, my CP and all this for my computer ain't
Yeah.
working. I'm trying to get my." So he's all excited now, like right. And then, like you said, and then they end it with like he turns off the light, and you think it's happened. But Rebel Wilson gets over that very quickly. Like she's, I'm leaving. I'm done with this guy. This guy broke my heart, and she's like, I forgive you.
I mean, honestly, good for her. Because there's too many women who'd have been like, oh, he cheated on me? Maybe it wasn't his fault. No, good for Rebel Wilson for leaving.
But she comes back. She stays.
She stays because he's still like, he wants her to go with him on his plane, and she finds out that he didn't actually do anything with Anne Hathaway, so it seems like it might be happily ever after. But what does he do? He sends her. No, he doesn't send her $500,000. She sends him $500,000 because she thinks he went ahead and paid for the doctor, and she was like, "No, I can't let you do that." So Rebel Wilson pays him, and then they have this little fake battle of sending the money back and forth. He's like, "No, no, no," and she was like, "Stop! There's a $2 fee every time we do this."
That's right.
Which I want to know what service they're using where you can send that much money at one time.
Without the system, be like, okay, red flags everywhere, right?
Yeah.
There's this $500,000 transaction going back and forth.
The fees on that will be crazy.
That
That's
would
not a
be
$2
crazy.
fee.
And then Anne Hathaway comes running in, trying to stop this plane, and Rebel Wilson's making fun of her.
It's really crazy, like screaming at it, trying to wave it down.
Right. To then find out that she gave him $500,000
As well.
to invest in his app. Yes. And then Rebel shortly finds out that he never really sent her back her $500,000. He kept it. So they handedly gave this guy $1 million.
Which I was so happy about this turn of events. Because if he rode off into the sunset and like and had given away all of his money, I would have felt so. I did feel so bad. I was very upset, and if that was the end, I would have definitely gave this a movie torture. But when he came out as the ultimate hustler, I was like, yes.
So movie torture would have been if this movie ended where she actually falls in love with him. He's like truly is broke and does all that. You're like out.
Yes, because she knows that she lied, they wouldn't actually be together. So she would just be a lost love to him, and he would be broke. And for what? I hate that.
But he was a con man anyway. He was playing them both from the beginning.
But I didn't know that. I'm saying if it had just stopped with him flying off into the sunset and ended right there, I would have been extremely upset.
So then she gets the text from him. That's like, yeah, I actually hustled both of you. It's easier to hustle a hustler, and then sends him the Medusa symbol that Rebel Wilson keep calling Anne Hathaway the whole time that she was the Medusa. But lo and behold, it's a man.
Well,
it was his grandmother, and then it was passed on to him.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait, was that him? And I missed that? Yeah, it was his grandmother.
Yeah, but now he's the Medusa because it was passed down on him. His grandma trained him well.
So this ending made me so happy. But then it goes even further. We cut back to Anne Hathaway's mansion, beautiful property. Rebel Wilson's about to leave. They're saying they're kind of like weird, I'm going to miss you, but also I hate you. Goodbyes.
She's like, would she say, it's been fun staying here for the 2 weeks? And she's like, yes, a week longer than you were supposed to. So Rebel was just hanging out.
But they actually genuinely hugged. And I was like, oh, cute, whatever.
They did.
But then up pops Thomas with his brigade of fancy rich people who are trying to buy illegal exotic animals. And I love his character. He was so flamboyantly Southern, which was so opposite from his quiet, shy tech billionaire.
Yep.
And so they start a whole new hustle, and all these would be customers go inside, and then three of them chat, and we're like, we could be better together. And then they do, and I was like, this is so. I love this.
They do. And then they end up 6 months later, they're in London pulling off a hustle, and they use Rebel Wilson's skill of using her dresses as a hiding detection. As the first one was in her black dress that she hid as a trash bag, and now she's
I forgot about that one.
dressed in a gold dress hidden as a present.
Oh yeah.
And Anne Hathaway's dress was really cool too.
Yes. Yeah.
They were bomb. They were bomb outfits.
So they both there. So, but again, here's these two women that get hustled by this guy, and very quickly, I know it's about money, but they forgive him very quickly.
Because they're greedy.
They are greedy. And he's there bragging. He's like, I've already made
clouds your
$6 million this year, and I could make so much more.
Yeah, he's like, I've made $6 million this year so far.
Right.
Okay.
But with the three of our talents, we could do this. We could do this.
Which I want to know how much money they got in that last heist.
Yeah, wasn't there some jewelry they took? Or no, it was money.
Okay.
200,000 pounds.
What is that in American people money?
Let's look that up. That's a good question.
American people.
What is
in US dollars, I should say.
what is
Okay.
200?
How many zeros does that have? 200 million or 200,000?
200,000, I think, is what they said. 1,000.
What year was this movie?
Euros?
US.
Oh, it's really similar.
Yeah, it's like 1.5.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so it was just a little
That's
bit.
not that much more.
Basically,
If he's already done.
yeah.
Mhm.
But what's funny in that line, though, I will give this the funny line in that was like when he's talking to the police, he's like, "What's it, like $20 US money?" And they're like, "No, not quite. It's only like $20 in US money." Clearly, it's not. It's like $259,000.
I love how this movie ended.
And they go beating off in a boat together.
It's such a happy ending. I mean, they're still technically bad guys, but I loved it for them. Loved the journey for them.
Rooting for the bad guys. So the fun we get to have, because Brad is not here. Where do we place Brad in this movie?
Ooh, I was just about to ask where do we put Gary. I like this much better. All right. Oh, Brad, oh pal.
Where do we?
The butler.
Get the butler.
I see Brad being the butler.
The butler never says anything though.
No, but his part is like, to me, was the funniest in the movie.
Oh, for sure. Definitely an underrated part.
He straight up just throws Rebels Wilson's, or no, she threw his bag at him and he just moves out of the way and it goes rolling down the hill.
We put out the wet floor sign that killed me.
After she fell, yeah. She needs the glue remover and he puts it just out of reach so she can't.
That was a mean one.
Mm-hmm.
This was a mean one.
I say Brad, hands down, the butler.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is that always the part? Whether it's Gary or Brad, you're the butler, the gardener.
We're never like, you're the great person in this movie. We're finding the worst character.
You're the main character. No, yeah.
Pizza delivery.
Pizza delivery, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have reviews on this movie?
I have some reviews. Do you have any reviews?
I don't. Which reviews do you have?
I have some Amazon reviews.
Those are always the best ones.
Let me pull those up here. When I do like when Brad asks this question, so we're going for when do you think the last time this movie was reviewed? So what, this came out in 2008 or
19?
19?
19.
19.
Yeah, very recent.
So this
There
one
has to be a review from this year. People have nothing better to do with their lives.
is September 28th of 2024.
Yep,
This review
about a month ago.
must see.
Dang.
That is
Must
all.
see. That's all I have to say about this movie. This one's pretty good. This is from Dalton. Movie was hilarious, comedy and interesting.
Comedy and interesting. We love
Comedy and
grammar.
interesting. Let's see some other ones on here.
I don't see any like funny ones.
There's not really a lot of
I was
fun.
gonna say-
Oh, this one I question a little bit. So this is from Kylie. It says laugh out loud fun. Great movie to watch with the teens. Funny, but not overwhelmingly inappropriate like so many other comedies. Love seeing leading ladies have such fun characters. Now, there were some sketchy, inappropriate parts in this movie.
Yeah.
I would not
For
give
sure.
it a clean bill of health of no sketchiness.
Someone said this looks like a very old man who said this. Like, you know the pictures that are in the neck, like the old time black and white pictures that are in the
Yeah.
necklaces. That's what his picture looks like.
Okay.
So I don't know how old he is. But he said the female version of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels was every bit as good. No, he said every bit as good and sometimes better than the original. Rebel Wilson was so much an improvement over Steve Martin, who is neither funny nor a good actor, in my view. Those are some bold words.
Those are some bold words.
Anne Hathaway looked like she was having fun with the part and did her accents well, but she overacted and broke the credibility bubble. There were some parts that I was like, yes, but that's also just the type of movie this is. I kind of expect that.
I'd agree with that. Right. This
It said
this
still
one
it's a
have-
very sorry, go ahead.
Oh, this one's from Sarah. It says hilarious to much watch for a girls' night. My husband even watched it with us. So was this a girl night or was your we laughed so much our sides started hurting. Very good movie.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, this one is kind of I don't agree with this. Because they're bashing Bridesmaids. They said this is one
Bridesmaids
of
is so good.
this is one of the ridiculously poor movies of all times. Right up there with Bridesmaids, which I still scratch my head and wonder who would watch this and think it was anything but terrible. I kind of disagree with that.
Bridesmaids was amazing.
And
It was
and that's
amazing.
like everyone thinks that. So this person, no. He said Anne Hathaway and Rebel Wilson should never be in the same movie together. It would be akin to a car race between a Ferrari and a Volkswagen. Ooh, two different universes with regard to performance and talent. If you like simpleton humor and don't care about a plot, then this is the movie for you. Actually, the Three Stooges short comedies had better plots if you like slapstick humor.
Okay, that's very funny.
Recommend you go with a group of friends that like to berate bad films. At least you'll have plenty to laugh about at the bar later that evening. I want my money back. Oh, so this man watched it in theaters.
Okay.
First of all, sir, why are you a man paying money to go watch this in theaters?
That's true. I bet Brad watched it in theaters.
Probably.
He paid money. What'd you have, Gary?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what I was to say.
Did you
Well-
zone out? Would you have paid money to see this movie in theaters?
This one, no, I don't think I would.
No.
I don't know if I would have gone to theaters to see this, but I don't
We'll
know.
lead into
I think
that.
it's weird. People bash the plot. It's like, well, it was good enough.
I
to be
thought it was a
remade.
good plot.
It had a plot.
Because
I
there
like the
were
plot.
Give that.
I like-
Twists at the end.
I like the plot because I mean, like I said, the movie it was good enough to be remade. Like it had already been done before, but it was good enough to do it to try it again. So I like
Yeah.
that was the part I liked about the movie was I thought it had a good plot.
So we'll
Yeah.
start with that. Producer Gary, movie torture or movie gold?
Ooh.
I would say torture. I think I
What? You just said you liked the plot. I'm confusion. Explain.
it's already been done. It didn't need to be
No, no,
done
no.
again.
Okay, see, here's the thing. When we watch these movies, you have to only look at this movie. You have to block out everything else. It's this movie.
But I can't because it's not an original idea. It's okay. I'll give it a bronze.
No, you gotta stick with what you said. You said
No.
torture. It is torture.
So you
I
didn't
can
like
give it a
it?
bronze.
Why didn't you
I
like
fell
it?
asleep. I about fell asleep in it.
You didn't like it because you didn't get the full experience. That's
He
why.
did tell us before he started this that he took a nap through it. So,
Yeah.
I think but I mean,
All
I
right.
watched it.
hey,
Okay. Fair.
first lady of
That's
movie
okay.
torture, Hannah. Gold or torture?
This was movie gold to me. I would totally watch this again. I thought it was actually hilarious, and I didn't think that I would because I saw Rebel Wilson. I was like, I roll. This is going to be something I've seen before. But I very much enjoyed it. And the ending just sealed the deal for me. I loved it.
All right. Well, for me, this was without a doubt movie torture.
What?
This
No.
was like a joke that would never end. Like you were waiting for the punchline of this joke and it would just never come. It was like the longest
I am
joke
offended.
ever said.
It's only an hour and 30 minutes.
And it
Brad-
felt forced.
Brad would give this a movie gold just because it was an hour and 30 minutes.
He would probably give it gold just for that reason. So I had to go movie torture. I will never.
We're going to
watch
go with
this thing again.
honorary gold for Brad since he's not here to speak for himself. And MTD said he wants to watch it. So I think that counts as another movie gold.
I don't know if that counts as movie gold. He said he wants to watch it.
No.
Which
we
means
had
we
a
made it
discussion.
sound good enough.
That's
Maybe that
true.
just means
but
we're
that's-
awesome.
oh, I was gonna say,
It's just
we
we're
did
so good
that.
at
That-
selling crap
we
that
can-
we can make people watch it.
I don't accept that. I don't want to be good at selling crap.
So, well, guys, this was fun. It was our first
Yeah.
time without our fearless leader, Brad, in the crowd. And here
It was
leading the
fun, but
show.
I am ready for you were missed, Brad. I'm ready for you to be back. I'm ready for Roger to be here.
And, I was saying, and Roger, y'all were like, oh, we missed Brad. We missed Roger too.
I mentioned Roger.
She did. We missed the
Yeah.
gang to get him back on here. So, from First Lady Movie Torture, Hannah, and producer Gary, and myself, Jacob, we thank you guys for joining us on another movie torture. Boom.
In the bag.
In the bag.